Call the case, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is case number IT 0588/2I, the prosecutor versus Zdravko Tolimir.
Thank you very much. This is the initial appearance of Zdravko Tolimir pursuant to Rule 62 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence of this tribunal. Mr. Tolimir, I wish to confirm with you initially that you're hearing these proceedings in a language that you can understand. Can you confirm that for me?
Okay.
If you could just use the microphone.
Dobar dan.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Yes, I can follow the proceedings. I can hear the proceedings in a language I understand.
Thank you very much. And please, if at any point in time you're not able to understand, or if you're not receiving interpretation, please let me know immediately. Thank you. May I have the appearances, please, for the prosecution?
Good afternoon. Peter McCloskey, and with me is Nelson Thayer, Quaker van der Pouillet, and Julian Nichols and Janet Stewart, who you are familiar with.
Thank you, Mr. McCloskey, and good afternoon to you and to your team. And may I have the appearances for the defense for Mr. Tolimir, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Roger Sahota, and I'm acting as assigned duty counsel this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sahota. Mr. Tolimir, I take it you understand that Mr. Sahota is appearing this afternoon as a duty counsel for you for the purposes only of this initial stage of the proceedings. He's been assigned for that purpose. In due course, obviously the registrar will be liaising with you regarding the issue of your counsel for the proceedings in general. But for today, Mr. Sahota is here to assist you for these proceedings. Do you understand that? And do you have any comments about him representing you for the purposes of this proceeding? Mr. Sahota.
Your Honour, if it may assist, I have spent some time speaking to Mr. Tolimir this afternoon. His unequivocal instructions to me are that he wishes to represent himself during these initial stages until a permanent lawyer is appointed as his counsel.
Okay, thank you for that. Is that the case, Mr. Tolimir? You wish this afternoon to represent yourself, and I will address matters directly to you?
Hvala.
Thank you. That's right.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you very much. And I would, however, ask Mr. Sahota if you will remain for the course of the proceedings in case there are any issues on which you can render some assistance.
Of course.
Thank you. Now we'll proceed then with the matters at issue for this particular hearing. First, briefly, Mr. Tolimir, I'm going to note for you, describe for you the procedural history of the indictment against you in brief terms, since it's somewhat complicated in this case. You were originally charged with two others, Mr. Militic and Mr. Guevara, under an indictment with case number IT 0480I. This indictment was confirmed by Judge Liu on the 11th of February 2005, and it was made public in relation to you a few weeks later on the 25th of February. Subsequently, by an order dated the 21st of September 2005, the case against the three of you was joined with that of the accused Popovic, Biara, Nikolic, Borovchanin, Pandurovic, and Turbic. The case subsequently against Mr. Turbic was severed on the 26th of June 2006, and then subsequently on the 15th of August, 2006, the case against you was also severed from that joint indictment by order of the trial chamber. And as a result of those developments, the operative indictment against you alone was filed on the 28th of August of 2006 as case number IT0588/2I. Do you understand that explanation, Mr. Tolimir?
Hvala da jasnim.
Thank you. Yes, I understand it.
Thanks very much.
Molim.
Welcome.
Mr. McCloskey, before, I'm not going to go through the indictment in detail at this time. I'll deal with it with Mr. Tolimir in a few minutes. But before that, there was one point that I noticed upon reviewing Mr. Tolimir's indictment with respect to an inconsistency as between the charges in the particularized counts and the last sentence of the indictment, and I wondered if you could clarify that for me. It's in relation to the application or not of Article 7.3.
Yes, Madam President, you're absolutely right. There is actually a mistake in the last page of the indictment, page 30 in the English, page 32 in the BCS. The reference in the last line to Article 7.3 is a mistake. That should not be there. We will correct that mistake in the near future and file an appropriate indictment without 7.3. 7.3 is not a part of the general's case.
Thank you for that clarification, Mr. McCloskey. Mr. Tolimir, I'm not going to review the indictment at this point in any detail. We'll come to that in a few minutes. But simply for your purposes and for the purposes of any members of the public who may be following these proceedings, I will give just a very brief summary of the indictment itself. Within the indictment, you are charged with 2 counts of genocide under Article 4 of the Tribunal statute, namely genocide and conspiracy to commit genocide. You're charged with 5 counts of crimes against humanity under Article 5 of the statute, namely extermination, murder, persecutions on political, racial, and religious grounds, inhumane acts, and deportation. And you are charged with 1 count of violation of the laws or customs of war under Article 3 of the statute of the Tribunal, namely murder. In relation to this indictment, Mr. Tolimir, you are charged as being individually responsible for the crimes under Article 7.1 of the Tribunal statute. Without dealing in any depth with the details of the counts or of the allegations, in very summary form, the indictment alleges that between the 11th of July, 1995, and the 1st of November, 1995, Mr. Tolimir and others with intent to destroy part of the Bosnian Muslim people as a national, ethnical, or religious group, killed members of the group by summary execution, including both planned and opportunistic summary executions, and caused serious bodily or mental harm to both female and male members of the Bosnian Muslim population of Srebrenica and Zepa. The indictment further alleges that Mr. Tolimir and others entered into a conspiracy to commit genocide by agreeing to kill the able-bodied Muslim men from Srebrenica who were captured or surrendered after the fall of the enclave on the 11th of July, 1995, and to remove the remaining Muslim population of Srebrenica and Zepa from the Republika Srpska with the intent to destroy those Muslims. And the indictment further states Mr. Tolimir and others were members of and knowingly participated in a joint criminal enterprise, the common purpose of which was to force the Muslim population out of Srebrenica and Zepa enclaves to areas outside the control of the Republika Srpska from about March 8, 95 through the end of August 95. as indicated, that's just a very brief overview. Mr. Tolimir, before moving to the formal stages of the process in terms of the issue of a plea, I would like to ask you the following questions for the record. Could you please state your full name for the record, please?
Hvala.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you to accept that I don't accept identifying myself until you, as the court, establish that, in view of the fact that the circumstances and facts under which I was arrested and brought to the tribunal are such, and wanted to alter my identity and wipe all the records out where I was registered as the national of a state to which I belong. Would you please accept that?
I take it, Mr. Tolimir, that you do not wish at this time to state your full name for the record. Is that correct?
Izvinjavam se.
I apologize. Yes, thank you. I want to tell you the following, that I have been forced in this way to establish my full identity before this tribunal because internationally recognized countries were denied to recognize the right that I have in being a national of the state to which I belong. Whether I acknowledge something or not is worthless, even for these proceedings or for the trial when it takes place, or for the implementation of the sentence and judgment after the trial. Thank you.
Well, let me try it this way, Mr. Tolimir. Putting aside the question of your nationality or the state to which you belong, are you simply prepared to just advise us as to your name itself, without any further details, just your full name? You're not required to, but if you are prepared to do at least that, that would confirm that point on the record without dealing with any of the other issues that you've raised.
Hvala.
Thank you. I understand your point, and I understand procedure. You have addressed me in the way that you have. I am not denying myself, but other people are denying me as a person. And with your permission, I can make a formal statement and say what I want to say, and then the tribunal can look into this until the next session in view of the objectivity and fairness of the trial and in view of my state of health as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Tolimir. What I would suggest we're going to do then is I will go through some of the other formalities necessary for this particular hearing, which is your first appearance, and these matters are mandated by the statute and the rules. And then at the end, I will certainly give you an opportunity to make a statement as to the issue that you wish raised, and it can be followed up at subsequent proceedings. So if that's the manner in which I propose to proceed. I take it then that similarly you're not prepared at this time to confirm on the record your date and place of birth. Would that be the case?
Hvala.
Thank you. Yes, you've understood me correctly. I wish to tell you everything. However, I wish you to assist me so that my position can be viewed objectively. And the circumstances under which I find myself in this courtroom, which is something that is being denied by those who, as international legal subjects, took part in my extradition and in bringing me here before this international tribunal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolimir. One other matter I wish to confirm with you is whether your family has been informed of your transfer to and detention in the United Nations unit of the Tribunal in The Hague, or is there any action on this account you would like taken by the Tribunal at this time?
Hvala.
Thank you. My family has been informed through my family lawyer, and he also works in this international tribunal, so I don't think it's necessary for the court to inform them separately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Tolimir, there's one further matter I want to address to you, particularly in light of the fact that you have asked to represent yourself during these initial proceedings. I want to ensure that you understand that for your appearance today and throughout the proceedings before this tribunal, you have certain rights, which I'm sure your counsel, duty counsel, may have discussed with you. These are reflected in various statute provisions and in the rules of procedure and evidence of this tribunal. Most notably, though, are Articles 20 and 21 of the statute. And I wanted you to be aware, because of the responsibilities I have under the rules relating to this appearance, of some particular ones that are of relevance to you. That is, you have the right to be informed promptly and in detail in a language you understand of the nature and cause of the charge against you. You have the right to have adequate time and facilities for the preparation of your defense and to communicate with counsel of your choosing. You have the right to be tried in your presence and to defend yourself in person or through legal assistance of your choosing, to have legal assistance assigned to you where the interests of justice so require, and without payment if you do not have sufficient means to pay for it. And, of course, you have the right not to be compelled to testify against yourself or to confess guilt. As I say, there are many such rights enshrined in the statute and rules, but I wanted to highlight these particular ones to you at this time. Do you understand those, and is that a sufficient summary, or do you need the provisions of the articles to be read to you, which we can do if you deem it necessary?
Hvala.
Thank you. I don't think that will be necessary. Mr. Roger explained it to me during our preliminary discussions. Thank you.
Thank you for that confirmation. Now, I would like at this time to deal with the issue of your plea, Mr. Tolimir. First of all, can I confirm with you that you have received a copy of the indictment in a language that you understand, in your language, and that you've had an opportunity to review that indictment? Can you advise me on that, please?
Hvala, dobio sam.
Thank you. Yes, I have received a copy in a language I understand 2 days ago, and I have had time to read it and look through it. Thank you.
Now, as was probably explained to you as well, you have the right this afternoon to have that indictment read out to you in full in court in this hearing. You may, however, choose to waive that right and to confirm that waiver on the record for us. So at this time, I would ask you whether you would like the indictment to be read to you, or are you prepared to waive the reading of the indictment and confirm that on the record?
Hvala.
Thank you. I would like to say for the record that I would like to waive my right to have the indictment read because I read it out before I appeared in court. Thank you.
Thank you for your confirmation then, and we will not then read out the indictment in full, but I do wish to confirm with you that you've understood the indictment. You've indicated you've reviewed it and you've had an opportunity to read it over the past couple of days. Do you understand the indictment against you?
Hvala.
Thank you. Yes, I have understood the indictment in all its parts.
Hvala.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Tolimir, I'm going to formally deal with you now at this point with reference to the plea to the charges. And I would ask you if you could please, for this stage, albeit I understand we may not be dealing with actual pleas, but I would request if you could please stand at this particular juncture in order that I may formally address you regarding the indictment.
Hvala. Mogu.
Thank you. May I say something before that? That is that I don't wish to enter a plea before you decide as a court on the basis of the official statement that I would like to give to go ahead afterwards.
Okay, in light of that indication then, Mr. Tolimir, you can remain seated. I will explain to you, however, as I'm required to do, the circumstances surrounding your plea. Our rules provide that you may choose to enter a plea to each of the counts today, or, as you're indicating, you may request to delay entering your plea to another occasion, which is what I understand you are doing. However, if you are requesting, as it appears you are, not to enter your plea today, but to deal with it at a future appearance, we will require that a plea be entered within 30 days of this appearance, so that there will be another hearing scheduled within that 30-day period for the purposes of taking your plea to the indictment. Should you choose not to enter a plea today or within that 30-day period, then a plea of not guilty will be entered in relation to each count on your behalf. Otherwise, as indicated, though, another hearing date will be set within that 30-day period in order to formally deal with the issue of the pleas. So I'm confirming, Mr. Tolimir, that you do not wish to enter your plea today, that you would prefer to do so at a later date, and we will therefore make arrangements to schedule another hearing within the 30-day period. Is that understood? And is that the case?
Hvala.
Thank you. You have stated precisely what I wish to say. I have no other possibility, in view of the facts and the circumstances under which I would be required to enter a plea. The important thing is that you clarify out of court some of the circumstances before we come to our next session, and that will establish my real position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolimir. I'm going to, before raising with both the prosecution and yourself any final issues, given particularly in light of your request to represent yourself at this stage, I just want to review a few matters with you so you'll be aware of them. First of all, under Rule 65 bis A, a pretrial judge is going to be appointed who will schedule a status conference. This would be in addition to the procedures for a plea. And the responsibility of the pretrial judge and the status conferences is both to facilitate the preparations for trial, but secondly and importantly, to ensure that you're being treated properly and to be made aware of any complaints or requests that you may have. So the pretrial judge will be appointed in due course, and you will have that regular appearance for those reasons. Secondly, and Mr. McCloskey, I'm sure I have no need to remind you of the obligation of the prosecution under Rule 66A 1 of the Rules of Procedure and Evidence to make available within 30 days, in the language the accused understands, the supporting material which accompanied the indictment when confirmation was sought, and any statements of the accused. I assume that will be done in accordance with the rule.
Yes, Madam President. We have the supporting material in binders, but we normally prefer to have an attorney to provide it to so it doesn't go missing or end up having to be worried about transferring back and forth to the jail.
Well, I'm certain you can discuss the matter with duty counsel and with Mr. Tolimir and make the proper arrangements to see to it being delivered within the time frame. Thank you for that. And I would also like to advise you, Mr. Tolimir, as I'm sure your counsel may have made you aware as well, that pursuant to Rule 72A, you will have a 30-day period for filing any preliminary motions once you have received the supporting material that I just discussed with the prosecution. So you will need to be mindful of that 30-day period, particularly if your arrangements for counsel take some time. So please bear that in mind. Now, I believe those were the essential matters that I wanted to cover in the hearing. At this time, I would ask first if the prosecution has any matters it wishes to raise at this time. Mr. McCloskey.
Yes, Madam President. We have nothing in particular, though I did want to inform you and the General that it is our intention to file, hopefully, on Wednesday, a motion to join General Tolimir's case to the ongoing case of Popovich et al.
Thank you, Mr. McCloskey. We'll certainly look forward with interest to that filing. And Mr. Tolimir, you will take note of that point raised by the prosecution as to an expected filing with reference to possible joinder of cases. Now, Mr. Tolimir, you've made reference to the fact that there are certain matters you wish to bring to our attention. So please, at this time, if there's any points you wish to make, please proceed and advise me of those. Thank you.
Hvala.
Thank you. I want to present the circumstances under which my identity is being denied, as well as my rights, and the state as well. And this is essential as far as my position is concerned, and the position of the tribunal vis-à-vis myself and the proceedings in this court. I just want to present the facts, and you will be able, for a fair and just trial, to investigate until we come to the next session and next proceedings. Thank you.
Is there any particular facts that you wish to put forward at this time, Mr. Tolimir, or do you plan to submit them subsequently, either through your duty counsel or otherwise?
I wish to present the facts briefly now, and they will provide a basis for your decision during these proceedings. And in conformity with Rule 84 bis A and B, I can give a fuller statement under the control of the trial chamber, which will be an out-of-court statement adopted subsequently by the parties in question and based on false testimony to the public, false information giving out to the public after the solemn declaration. And you will see whether this is under Rule 91, to see what I'm saying and to see what the people who deny this and say quite the opposite to what I'm saying. Thank you.
Well then, Mr. Tolimir, if you could proceed just briefly to highlight the points you want to highlight today, and it would probably be of better use to us to have something subsequently in writing. But please go ahead. If you wish to highlight some facts to me briefly today, that's fine. Go, please proceed.
Hvala.
Thank you. I wanted to do this now so that my statement can be considered as an objection in view of the fact that I have limited possibility for the compiling of documents. So I'd just like to say something briefly. First of all, I want to point out to this tribunal that Rule 62A was not respected during my arrest and extradition and bringing me here before this international tribunal on the part of the people who took part in this and the staff of the prosecution, the OTP, who took part in the process of arrest and extradition. That is my first point. Secondly, I was arrested on the territory of Serbia, whose citizen I am. I was transferred to the territory of Republika Srpska, whose citizen I am not, without my will and without the right to a lawyer and the presence of a lawyer. And I was taken subsequently to a location, the location of Bratunac, in fact, which is mentioned as a location in all the indictments and all the counts and charges against me for reasons unknown to me. And Bratunac is in completely the opposite direction from the place that I was transferred to here, and also from Banja Luka and Belgrade. So I was taken to this locality without any reason for the period which is relevant to the indictment, not during the events or after the events or never before or up till now. Now, I wouldn't consider this to be important had I not been filmed on that location by military facilities, which is where the Bratunac Brigade had its headquarters and staff, and the police units had their headquarters too. I was astonished that I was filmed both secretly and publicly at those locations when I was arrested and when I was taken into custody and brought here. So I would like this tribunal to bear that in mind for a fair trial later on, so that the tribunal should not allow this to be used and abused later on in the proceedings. The representatives of the OTP took part in this, and members of NATO as well. So what I'm saying is this: I was taken from the Republic of Serbia to Bijeljina, and from Bijeljina I was returned 100 kilometers back to be taken to the location of Bratunac, which is outside the basic direction and route of my extradition. I was filmed there from moving vehicles and from other facilities, secretly and publicly, and I was filmed in a vehicle as well. And I pointed this out, and I wanted to consult my lawyer about that, but that was not possible. I was returned from Bratunac to Bijeljina and from Bijeljina to Banja Luka. In Banja Luka, I was interviewed by the Ministry of the Interior and the Ministry of Justice with the intention of having me accept the fact that I am a citizen of Republika Srpska. I was offered certain inducements. My family and I were offered inducements, and I was offered an agreement. I don't want to go into that, but you will establish later on why, for what reason, and what this was about. Furthermore, or rather, at that time, I was not given the right to consult a lawyer, and I was not allowed to go back to the Republic of Serbia, so that the authorities of the country of which I'm a national should extradite me, and I have the right to that. And I also saw that there was a warrant for my arrest and for taking me into custody, which was sent out at the same time, which means that I need not have been in the Republika Srpska. I could have remained in the Republic of Serbia and been extradited from there. Furthermore, I was taken once again without my agreement to an unknown location where a helicopter arrived, a NATO helicopter, and I was turned over to a NATO unit. And after some time had elapsed, a representative of the Hague OTP arrived. I wasn't allowed the right, even then, when I was taken over by the Hague prosecutor and NATO, to have a lawyer present. I was denied that right. Furthermore, under the competence of NATO, I was filmed for 50 hours while I was under NATO custody and custody of the Hague Tribunal, and I think you'll find that everything I have stated so far is the truth. I do not wish to expound on what I have said thus far. I can do so in a statement. All I want to say is this: because of my health, I would like, until the next appearance, that these circumstances be made known, be made public, because they are essential if I am to enter a plea. And especially since you wish to join my indictment and my case to the other persons accused for these events. And this can have repercussions on them if the situation is not cleared up, or if I am not allowed to clear up the circumstances under which I was arrested, and to the situation that I have described now. And I am asking you, as a court of law, on the basis of your authorization and competence, and pursuant to Rule 67 C and A, you take statements out of court from the representatives of the countries that carried out my extradition to this international tribunal, that is to say, Serbia and Republika Srpska, and also from the representatives of the Hague Tribunal and the representatives of the NATO command in Sarajevo, and the porte-parole, the spokesman for the OTP, who has not informed the public. Although he would have had to have known the truth, he spoke on behalf of the prosecutor. I meant the spokesman for the OTP. I misspoke and said the tribunal. So on the basis of statements out of court, which you will establish after I expound on the situation, you can then decide on further proceedings, and through these out-of-court statements you will be able to establish which country will be ready to take on all the responsibilities of a country whose citizen I am. I think that is essential, because I have not been accused here personally for personal responsibility, but it is the state and people who are being accused, because the charges are of genocide. So the consequences won't be on an individual, but on an entire nation, on an entire peoples, and I don't want that to happen. If something happens to me, in view of the circumstances under which I find myself. Thank you. I also wish to add that you should bear in mind, because of the next proceedings out of court, that my health is very bad. I have had 3 attacks, strokes, and I have lost a lot of weight. I used to weigh 84 kilograms, and now I weigh 50-odd. And since I am losing weight rapidly, I would like you to look into the circumstances which will affect a fair trial in the days to come, especially in view of the other participants in the proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tolimir. Your statements are here on the record, and I won't make any further comment on them at this time, other than with respect to your last issue that you've raised. And if any point in time you wish to go into private session to discuss this, I do wish to confirm that since your arrival at the detention unit, you have been receiving sufficient medical care, and that the authorities at the detention unit are taking into account and discussing with you your medical issues. Is that the case? Are you satisfied with the circumstances at the detention unit, particularly in reference to your health?
Hvala.
Thank you. I can state that they have treated me very properly. All of the staff of the UN detention unit, including the medical staff, they have directed all their attentions to me, even over and above what I expected. And I believe that they will enable me to recover fully, and that I will be able to speak before this tribunal about the allegations and circumstances contained in the indictment, and that I will be in a good state of health at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. And as indicated, we will certainly bring to the attention of the unit the specific point you raised regarding your health earlier on. Well, unless there's anything further then from Mr. Tolimir or from the prosecution, I'm seeing shaking of heads. So as indicated, we will arrange for a subsequent appearance, Mr. Tolimir, within that 30-day period for the taking of your formal pleas to the indictment. But other than that, I believe that that's all that matters for today, and this hearing is adjourned.
Orais, voulez-vous le faire?